I remember that being one of my favorite songs that was released. I was a fan of hers before I knew I was a fan of hers, so that was just blew my mind. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Frassix. So a year ago today, from the day that I uploaded this album, Dua Lipa's second album, Future Nostalgia, was released. And it's just absolutely crazy just to think that it has been exactly a year, because so much was happening at the time that it was released and so much happened between then and now. And basically this era was just absolutely crazy to live through. There were so many bops, there were so many serves, there were so many music videos, performances and everything, and I absolutely love it. It like made me so proud to be a Dua stan, you know, all of last year into this year. But it's really funny because before this album, before this era, I wasn't really a fan of Dua. Not that I hated her or anything, I'm not the fan that I am now. Like, I was indifferent about her, but now I absolutely love her. She's one of my favorite artists ever. I've gained so much respect for her throughout the entire era, and for this video I basically just wanted to share with you guys how the Future Nostalgia album and the era basically made me a fan of Dua. And hopefully I'll keep this short and quick. I'm not really sure. I just wanted to just briefly talk about this. So let us begin. Okay, so let me, I guess, start before the Future Nostalgia album or era even happened. So of course she had her first debut album, which was the self-titled album, which was released a couple of years ago. And I'm pretty sure everyone knew who she was, or people didn't really, like, it's funny because the first time that I actually like heard Dua singing was on Martin Garrix's a song called Scared to Be Lonely. I absolutely love that song, but I didn't really pay attention to Dua. Like, I didn't really in a way care for her because I was just like, I just really like the sound of this and I love the sound of her voice and stuff. So it's super interesting because I remember that being one of my favorite songs that was released. When was it released? Like beginning of 2017 or something like that. So I absolutely love that song, but I just didn't really know that or connect the dots that it was Dua. So when I did like find out that she did sing that, like I was just like mind blown. Like, I was a fan of hers before I knew I was a fan of hers. So it's super funny. But then of course she released, you know, her, like I said, her first debut studio album. And then of course, I'm pretty sure we all know New Rules. That absolutely blew up. It definitely took her to places that only debut artists could dream of. It gave her a Grammys for, what was it, Best New Artist or something like that. So it's absolutely crazy. Of course, at the time I still wasn't a fan of hers. I just knew that song a lot. Sometimes it was definitely overplayed on the radio a lot. But it definitely made me remember her name, and that's the thing that I guess really helped me get into this new era that she was going to be putting on. Of course, I'm pretty sure we all know the hate that she got as well. Some people thought she didn't deserve the Grammy. Some people, you know, critiqued her dancing ability. A lot of people, even me, especially for that one performance. I forgot what it was. What was it, like the Jingle Baller or something like that? And I'm pretty sure we all know what I'm talking about, which is super unfortunate. But then it's just really interesting just to see how much stage presence she has gained throughout her career. And it's just really interesting just to see her perform at the beginning, because it wasn't bad. It was just, there was just something off about her performances. Like, I don't know, I think that there's just something off. Like, even though she's performing, like, it's not as engaging as it is now. So I'm super happy that she didn't like just shut down after that and just was upset or anything, and she actually like took that criticism and improved on it, and, you know, worked on her dancing and her stage presence and everything. And now every time she does perform, like, it's super iconic. I look forward to every single performance. And I, like, if I were to have gone, or if she still would have been able to do the tour for Future Nostalgia, you definitely 100% know that I would 100% be there vibing in the audience, telling her to go off and like cheering her on stage. But yeah, let's just get into the beginning of this future nostalgia era, and that's all starting with Don't Start Now. And I don't remember it being released, honestly. Like, I'm trying so hard to like remember the time where it was released, but which was the end of 2019, but I just can't remember it for the life of me. But I guess I just kept on hearing it on the radio all the time, and I was just like, okay, I'm kind of vibing with this. And then the beginning of 2020 happened, and then I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. And I think because a lot of the gays and everything were like hyping her up and stuff, and I was like, you know what, okay. And then I did like see a bunch of her performances for the Don't Start Now kind of era that she had, and I was just like, okay, this girl is going off. I'm really interested in her. But I guess the first song that I really reacted to / listened to when it was actually released was Physical last year, and it was absolutely crazy. I think that's the song that I guess really hooked me into becoming a Dua stan. And it's funny because I think I had like class or something that day, and then it was released, and then the music video was released, and I absolutely loved both of them. I thought they were super iconic. They're one of my favorite songs and music videos from last year. Honestly, the visuals, the serves, the chorus, the production, everything. I absolutely love that song era overall so much. And that was the first ever time that like someone famous has actually acknowledged me, because she included me in a compilation of different reactions to the music video. I mean, like her and her team did, but I'm assuming that she did watch it at least once, and she probably saw my face, and I'm never gonna get over that. Like, I'm so happy that that was the first time. And again, this is the first time. I'll talk more about the second time later, but just, oh my gosh, like I was super happy when I did find out. Oh my gosh. And then of course, like this made me really like interested in her and stuff, so I started to follow her and everything. And then something super unfortunate happened where Future Nostalgia was leaked or something like a few weeks before it was originally supposed to be released in like April something. So and then I remember like going on like Instagram Live or something, and she was like super sad. She was crying, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like dude, like I get it, like a leak is a leak and you can't really do anything about it, but it's just so unfortunate because she was like probably just really ready for this. And I guess it was just also a mixture of that and then the beginning of the pandemic and the coronavirus and everything. So she probably knew that this album in this era probably wasn't gonna go the way that she hoped it would go. But she was the bad bitch that she was, and she's like moved it up and announced a new release day for March 27th. I'm pretty sure we all know how that went. It was released, I reacted to it. If you guys haven't seen my reaction to the Future Nostalgia album, the link for that will be in the description below. But it just basically just blew my mind. The production, the cohesiveness, everything about it, I was so shook by. It was literally my second favorite. Like, it would have been my #1 favorite album of 2020 if it wasn't for Folklore by Taylor Swift. But of course, like, I love both of them equally. But it's just absolutely crazy because like after I listened to that album, my respect for her as an artist just went through the roof. It made me stand her so much. And then for her to continue to perform, like especially during the beginning of the pandemic and everything, like online on webcams. I remember there was like an interview or like something, or not interview, but just a performance that she was doing where she was just basically like sitting and just webcamming herself, and I think she had like something wrapped on her head. I can't remember what it was, but she was just like singing, she was singing Pretty Please, and that was really the first time that I was just like, oh my gosh, I love her, and so like I love her performances and everything, and her voice. So that was just super iconic in its own right, and it only kept on getting better throughout the year because of course she kept on releasing multiple music videos and everything. I think Break My Heart, that was it. It was the second reaction, or the second time that Dua noticed me and her team noticed me, was for the Break My Heart music video, which was released I think the same time as the album or the day before the album was released or something like that, which is, I love that. Like, that music video was again one of my favorites from last year. as well, because it was just so creative and so colorful, and like the sets and the editing was just so amazing, and like especially following up on physical, like that was just blew my mind, and it definitely got me hyped for the release of the album. And then it did release, like I said, and there were other music videos that were released, such as the Hallucinate video and then the Levitating remixes and all the performances that we got. It's just like everything piled on top of each other. She was one of my favorite artists of the year last year, honestly. Like this album, this era gave me so much respect for Dua, to really actually like pay attention to her as a human being, keep up with her on social media, really listen to her and her artistry and her voice. Like it just absolutely blew my mind, because at the beginning of 2020, like I really didn't expect to become a fan of Dua, but at the end of 2020, like I said, she was one of my favorites. I remember buying tickets to Studio 2054 and watching it when it actually aired, and just being super shook that, you know, like the sets, everything, the production, the dancers, just all of it, the visual aspect of it, just the dancing blew my mind. And again, there's that's another thing that I can really respect about Dua, and that I actually take into account a lot on my own life, is that, you know, even though you really like, even though she did dance awkwardly and not as good as she could have been, she didn't like really shut down before. She really took that, embodied it, and worked on it. And then by the time the second album era came out, she was slaying every single performance that she does. Even if she's just standing there singing, she has so much more stage presence, honestly, and that's something that I really take into consideration. I'm just like, if she can get through that and like that kind of humiliation and work from it and emerge as this like iconic figure, I can do the same thing in my life. And now I guess I'll just be going through a few of the songs that I did that I love, because again, I love all the songs on Future Nostalgia. Honestly, it's, again, well, it's probably gonna be one of my favorite albums of the decade, let's be honest. Like, just bookmark me on that. 10 years from now, when I'm, or 9 years from now, or whenever, when I'm doing my end of the decade album review, I'm pretty sure this will be one of my favorites, probably within the top 10, hopefully, because this is so iconic. Anyways, besides the singles, like, because of course Don't Start Now was an absolute bop. I love it so much. I just, oh gosh, that's another thing that I missed. Like, this would have been played at the clubs so much, and I would have been able to dance to it and vibe with it if it wasn't for the pandemic, and I'm super sad about that. So when we are all allowed in here in America to really go out and club safely, I am definitely requesting all of Future Nostalgia, honestly, because each song is definitely club worthy, single worthy, banger worthy. It's absolutely amazing. But anyways, no, cool. Future Nostalgia, like I don't really vibe with the title track, like, even though it is a bop, and when she performed it on Studio 2054, I loved it, but I actually do really like it. Don't Start Now, again, was iconic, cool. It could have been such, like, every time I listen to that, especially when it was initially released, I was just like, this is the perfect summer song. This is gonna be my summer anthem, because I was gonna be going to California at the time, and I was like, I can just, you know, roll down the windows, cruise down the Pacific Coast Highway, and just blast that song, and it's so summery. But of course, that didn't happen, so I'm super upset about that. But when I do go back to California and it's summertime, you know, I'm definitely gonna be blasting that. Physical, so iconic, such a bop. Pretty Please, or Levitating, one of my favorites, again, from last year, honestly. Like, I don't know why her label just didn't want her to release the normal version as a single. Like, honestly, it would have been fine as it is, but then of course there was the Blessed Madonna remix first, and then the Baby remix, and then of course there was the Levitating original version that was played, and all of them were played, at least the Baby version and the normal version were played everywhere on the radios. Pretty Please, super cute, super sassy, I love it. Hallucinate, definitely a club banging bop. Love Again. I gained so much respect for this song because this is one of her favorites, if not her favorite, from this album. And then I also watched like the documentary slash behind the scenes thing for, what was it? It was like something on Netflix where they were basically, she was explaining the processes, and everyone that worked on the song was explaining the process of the song and how they wrote this song, and like the kind of fun facts about it. And I really liked it and gained so much respect for it, and it's now one of my favorites from the album. Break My Heart, super iconic. I really love it. It played all the time on the radios during the pandemic. I loved it. Good in Bed, so sassy. I love it. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, girl, you are just really, you're really H-word. So, and then Boys Will Be Boys, super iconic. And it's kind of like interesting because when I first, fun fact, when I first listened to the album, like I didn't really look at the lyrics. So like instead, when she said like girls will be women, that kind of line, at first, like the first few times that I listened to it, I swear I heard girls will be with men. And I was just like, okay, you know what, you don't need these boys, you'll be with men. But instead she said women, and I was just like, that's even better. So like, that's just something interesting that I wanted to share. But of course she didn't stop there, because a few weeks ago she released the deluxe edition of Future Nostalgia, which basically has 4 new songs technically, which is We're Good, If It Ain't Me, That Kind of Woman, and Not My Problem, which if you haven't seen my reaction to that, the link for that will be in the description below. But it just kept on like these songs are absolute bops too. So it's just overall, this era has been such a blessing in disguise. This was one, like this album and Heartbreak Weather by Niall Horan were the soundtracks to the beginning of my quarantine and the pandemic and everything. And if it wasn't for those two, I honestly wouldn't know what to do, because those, every time I think of those albums, I think of that time. And even though it was chaotic and in a way it was kind of hectic, like there's just some comfort, because those songs definitely gave me comfort. And whenever I was having a bad day, I would just put on this album and just vibe out to it and just dance alone in my apartment. I guess I just want to say to Dua, if she ever watches this, just thank you so much for this album. You honestly, you don't have any idea how much this album and this era has meant to me, how much joy it has brought me, like how every time you perform I look forward to it, just everything. Like, and then this like also gets me so hyped for the next album whenever that's gonna be released, honestly. Like, and again, I became a fan of Dua through this album, and I'm so grateful for that. And I just can't wait to see what steps she takes next in her career. I know it's gonna be amazing, and I'm definitely gonna be on the Dua train for that. And that's pretty much it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really did enjoy just sharing with you guys my Future Nostalgia era and album experience. So what is your kind of favorite memory from this Future Nostalgia era? And do you like the album? Do you guys not like it? Do you guys think the singles are amazing? Like, what do you think of this era and this album overall? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all the usual things. Follow me on my social media accounts just to keep up with everything Dua that I do. And until the next video, the wonder won't stop. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Boo!